So the whole thing is to understand a up system, you need to really keep thinking about you, because every time you get distracted about either the people or your sponsor, you're going to get screwed up. It took me, when I first was introduced to even a simple up system, ours is very sophisticated, is very hybrid, modified. I mean, we've like turned a Lexus into a Formula One race car. That's basically what we've done. And keep thinking about you. And you know, that's not that difficult, because they always say our mind is thinking in what's in it for me, what's in it for me. That's the radio station that plays in our mind. Well, here, go ahead and do that, and stay doing that, and all of a sudden you will see that the up system is so easy that you kind of wonder, you know, why anybody made such a big deal out of it. So it is one of the deals that I was wanted to say that a moment ago is it is extremely easy to understand once you understand it. A little bit like a puzzle. You know how you know to unlock one of those puzzles, and boom, once you know it, there is nothing to it anymore. But it's difficult to explain. I hope right now I'm going to do an easier job, or at least make it easier to understand. So you have been introduced by somebody which we call your sponsor, somebody who's been good enough, who thought worthwhile enough of you to bring you into this program. And the VIP Turbo is all about making money. Yeah, this time we are about making money. The VIP team is education. In general, education about not just money, but about wealth, about preservation of capital, about creating anything you wish in life. It also has to do with health. It's actually the full scope of life. But in the VIP Turbo, we're going to follow the line of the science of getting rich. And this is all about getting rich. And I hope you don't mind if you get rich. As a matter of fact, we've got a couple qualities in there that are going to force you to be rich. You're not even going to get a choice on it. Why do I say that? Well, you're going to see we're not going to concern ourselves only with how much money you make, and you'll make a lot of it, but we're also, through the intelligence of the program, you will be forced to build up the value so that not only that you can keep earning, but that you can keep earning more and more and more and more. And I hope you have no objection to that. So whoever has introduced you to such a program, I believe that you should really consider this person like special. And you're going to do something special when we have the video produced of the orchard, the orange orchard farmer. You will actually see that we talk about the tree that produces, you buy a tree that produces oranges, and the oranges being representative of money in the Chinese culture, in the Filipino culture, and in many places around the world, the orange represents wealth, represents prosperity, represents money. And so you will see that you buy a tree that allows you to, it's a money tree, that allows you to make money, and then in gratitude, you're going to give 2 oranges back to the person who sold you the tree, because he didn't just sell you a tree that makes money, he sold you how to use that tree, how to nurture that tree, how to actually expand that tree so you end up with a full orchard. So, you and the sponsor. And imagine now that you feel comfortable with it, that you want to introduce this to one of your friends. And we're going to call that friend John. John is the first person that you decide to introduce this program to. You're actually going to get paid. And I put $100 here because we're actually talking about fusion and hybrid turbocharging. We're not only going to give you a system, we're going to give you a 10-fold system that will run all at the same time. Kind of imagine driving a car with 10 engines and they're all operational. all the way from little small engines to big engines, and they're all going to push you forward. So we're going to take, we're starting off with as little as $10, but we'll look at the pricing and these 10 levels in a moment. But here, for simplicity, we're just considering 100. So it could be $10, it could be $100, it could be $1,000, $10,000. It could actually, you'll see, it could be as high as $150,000. That's one heck of a orange tree, isn't it? Well, that's the orange tree that produces golden oranges. And here, living in the Algarve, hey, we've got the best oranges in the world. And the Portuguese people are proud of it, and they should be. Our neighbors, the Spanish oranges, very different story. Actually, the Spanish people come over here to buy the Algarvian, and because it's fantastic. It's better than the Floridian orange. It's better than the Colombian orange. And here I am promoting the Algarve. I should get a commission from the Ministry of. I'll have to talk to. What's his name there of the Bilderberg group. So, okay, you bring in John. John is the first person that you're introducing him to orange juice. Folks, if you're here for the first time and you have no idea what all the pieces are, don't worry if you get confused. My brain works that way. The nice thing is, not too long from now, we'll have this all chopped up in different videos, different PowerPoints, and I'm not going to be hip-skipping, what do you call this thing? Hop-skipping, hip-hop skipping, whatever, I can't even pronounce that. Did you guys put something, you know, this is supposed to be water. It is water, I guarantee you it's not gin. Maybe it's my feet that are making me, in any case. $100 tree, John is paying you to get that tree. And just like your sponsor helped you how to nurture the whole deal and then share it with others, so you will help John. And the next thing, so you got your $100 from John, now you're introducing Bill. And in a 2-up system, you're actually passing up, and this is a gift of gratitude that you're going to give back to the person who introduced you. So Bill, even though you introduced him, gets passed up as a gift of gratitude to your sponsor. Because you didn't just pay your sponsor for this money vehicle, you're actually some of the early fruits of the money vehicle, you're willing to give that back to the person who shared it with you, and Bill is the first one in that row. Then the next person, if that happens to be Mary that you introduced, you will be paid $100. And then logically, the next person, Susie, is another one of these people that it's also the last person that you're going to be passing up to your sponsor, again as gratitude for the person who's helped you discover all of this and work this. So then Bill, Susie are actually no longer in your system. They're being passed up, both the money from them as well as the people themselves. They become part of the group of your sponsor. And even though that looks a little bit like, what am I giving up? You know all too well, if you buy an orange tree, giving up 2 oranges for all the thousands of oranges that will come from the tree is a little giving up. And you really need to think of it that way. Don't let some fear-driven little scarcity egoist mislead you. This is it's going to be a very easy program to do, and to share a couple with the person who introduced you. It's a small little gift, but you're going to see how that small little gift actually becomes a very powerful advantage for yourself. So here, the 5th person that you introduced, so 2 and 4, Bill and Susie, actually are with your sponsor. So you have introduced John, you have introduced Mary, You also introduced these two, but they went up to your sponsor. So now you've introduced Al, and once again, you get paid on Al. And whoever you will introduce next, Anne, you will get paid on Anne. And actually, this $100 payouts continue for infinity. If you introduce 1,000 people, you're going to get paid on 1,000 people. If you introduce, you will see that actually you wouldn't even have to introduce more people than this, because now something very magical will happen. Because you have become completely independent from your sponsor. So is this MLM? No, it is not. Is this a pyramid? Of course not, because the product is education, and believe me, it'll be extremely valuable education. But this is as un-MLM, MLM being multi-level, that you owe money to all these different levels. None of this is the case here. After these two people, Bill and Susie, you're off the hook. You're in a breakaway situation. It's as if you own the business yourself. You have become completely independent from your sponsor. So at that point, you actually have become like your sponsor. That now means that the same benefit, you remember that you gave up 2 oranges to people, to your sponsor. Well, actually, watch what happens with John, the first person he introduced. He introduces, let's say, 5 or 6 people or more. Number 2 and number 4 in John's group is going to be given up to you, because they are 2 pass-ups of John. So number 2 and number 4 get passed up to you. That means you also get paid on them. Can you see, you got $100 for the people you introduced. Now you're getting money for people that you didn't even introduce, that one of your referrals introduced. So in a sense, you could say John is being replaced by George and Paul. And in that regards, John, at that point, is completely independent, because he has given up George, who actually can become your number 7 now, and Paul, who becomes your number 8. You didn't sponsor them, but you, guys, I'm getting distracted, I'm sorry. Is there something you want to say? Okay, thank you. So George becomes your number 7, Paul becomes your number 8, and all of this allows John to be off the hook, just like you got off the hook and became independent of your sponsor. Now John is independent. And here we are. John's 2 people, George and Paul, become on your sponsor line, if you want to call it, even though you didn't sponsor them. So John kind of duplicated himself into 2 people. It's like you remember these cartoons where you shoot somebody and they turn into 2, and you shoot these 2 and they turn into 4. Well, that's kind of what happens here. Is Mary now can do the same like John did. She can gather 4 people and give up 2 to you. So now Mary is introducing a bunch of people, but her 2nd and her 4th, which is in this example Tony and Andy, are being what? They're going to get passed up to you. That means you're going to get paid. So here, from John, you got paid on George and Paul. From Mary, you got paid on Tony and Andy. So that's not just $100 from John. John actually produced you another $200. Not directly, it's his people who produced it. And Mary, the same deal. She pays you $100. Now Tony and Andy are paying you $100. So what happens is Mary is as if replaced herself by Tony and Andy, and she's off the hook. Now Tony becomes your number 9 and Andy becomes your number 10. Do you see how you're actually getting people that you're not even sponsoring? That's the magic of willing to do one grateful act. Give up 2 people for yourself in the beginning. Now, you're going to see in our program that we have so many things in place to make it easy to introduce people. And not just your friends, we have ways that you can, as a matter of fact, get as many people as you wish. If you want to introduce 10,000 people, we'll have the tools in place that will allow you to do that. And you won't have to go get them yourself. We've got a system that will automate that. So Mary is replaced by Tony and Andy, and Mary is now independent. So kind of in review, George and Paul were given up by John. Tony and Andy were given up by Mary. So your two people, John and Mary, who were, remember, they were your first two people, they've now become like four people. And then George is going to do the same, and Paul is going to do the same. And yes, maybe Tony won't do it, and Andy may do it. There is no problem if somebody doesn't fulfill it, but in this sort of a system, it's so easy. And after all, when we have something good, why would we want to hide it? Yeah, we want to share it, and this is something you're going to want to share with the people that you care about. So George is passing up his two, Paul will pass up his two, Tony will pass up his two. So all of a sudden these four become 8. And the 8 will eventually become 16. This is, by the way, just from two people. 32, 64, 128, 256, and so it continues. So all this from just two people. The reality is you can introduce as many people as you want to. Al and Ann, we haven't even looked at that. They too, in turn, will and can bring just as many people to you with simply giving up their two people, their two oranges.